recording. So, welcome from our side. Happy to have you here for our lunch and learn regarding AI accelerated development of AI strategies. We can end the poll now here and say, yes, 3 people are already using it. So the majority in this call is already using it. I'll leave it open for somebody who might come in later. And if we look at the agenda, what we would like to do with you is this little warm-up questioning what we just did. We'd like to do an introduction round with you, first step, and then to give you some context, I will give you a short introduction into the template we are using. So into our methodology, and if I zoom out, this is the template we are going to use here on the left-hand side. And then we will talk about a little bit and demonstrate you also something how we use the AI functionality specifically for Miro in this case to accelerate the process to go through that strategy development process in that what we call the Lean Data and AI Strategy Workshop template. And then the floor is open for question and answers, but the floor is open for question and answers anyway because we are a quite small group. So if you have any questions, just jump in and interrupt me. And then we would like to do a little bit of feedback session, and then we will be finished. Maybe we will be a little bit quicker today than just 1 hour, depending on how much questions you have. Okay, so I will bring everybody to me, and what I would like you to do is fill out this canvas with these 3 boxes here or 3 pillars. So who are you? What are you doing? And what is the expectation you are having for this lunch and learn? And you can I did it for myself. So my name is Georg Ahrens. I'm one of the managing directors of Datentreiber. I'm your host and moderator today, and my expectation or what I would like to do is inspire you with ideas and insights. And you can, actually, you can't copy it because I locked it in the wrong frame, but you can just take one of the sticky notes down here and just write your name into it.
Hey George, I'm trying to move the sticky, but it looks like I can move it, but then it disappears. I
Oops.
don't know if anyone else is experiencing that.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's move it to the side. And as soon,
Oh, it's probably populating behind your.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's bring to front. Should be interesting. Wow. Okay. Benjamin, do you know what this is?
Hmm.
No, but
Yeah, we'll
yeah.
just do it on the side. Yeah, just blue, yellow, and blue, green, and yellow. And that should work then. And if you are sitting in front of your laptop, we would be also happy if you switch your camera on, because that is much nicer to talk to real people and see the faces. Paul is in. Okay, Paul, he's still in the car. Okay, all right. Hi, Mark. Nice to see you. Okay. All right. So then let's look at that. Let's look at specifically the last column to learn tips on using AI on Miro. Yes, definitely. Looking for inspiration and ideas on Miro. Yeah. And Raphael is still writing. Hi, Ray. Nice to see you. And Benjamin is moving everything to the canvas on the left-hand side. Okay.
Yeah, this is it could be that some I moved it to the default layer, the canvas, and now it works.
Okay.
Maybe
All right. Maybe that was the
the
mistake.
other canvas seemed to work.
Okay. Okay. All right. So as I know, Raphael was one in one of our latest lunch and learns, so he knows a little bit about Datentreiber and the other guys probably not, right? So we are doing consulting on developing data and AI strategies. Over the last 10 years, we developed our own methodology, which is called Data and AI Business Design, and we basically help customers to think structurally what they can do with their data. And over the course of the last, basically, I would also say 2 years, you can see that down here, we developed several templates for canvases and also for complete workshop formats. And one of the format we're going to use today is the Lean Data and AI Strategy Workshop format, which you can also find on Miroverse. And that is the template, what you see here on the left-hand side. And in order to give you some context of what we are going to do or what we are talking about, I would briefly go through the methodology so that you have an idea what we are actually doing. And what you see here is what is in that frame workshop snapshot is the template we are using for a one-day workshop with a goal to develop a draft of a data and AI strategy. And this basically has two lines. The first line is that's what we are going to use later, where I will show you how we use AI functionality in Miro to facilitate the whole process. And down here is an example which we also use. And let me quickly walk through that example with you so that you get the context and have an idea. So typically what we do is we are starting with the preparation by figuring out who should be actually participating in the workshop. And depending on the goal, this could be different people. And these people usually have different interests and different perspective on the whole thing. Um, so there's typically something like the decision maker, which should be in the workshop. Then there's kind of something like an economic buyer. And of course, very, very important, there's the end users. And around them, we have different other or several other groups which are what we call the implementers and the recommenders down here. And then we have the positive influences, so people which might be helping us. And we typically also have, at least in larger environments, somebody or a group of people, also depending on the function they own, people who are probably not friends of what we are trying to achieve. So that's the first step. You map that together with the client and you decide who should be in the workshop. And very important, of course, it's a multidisciplinary team, specifically the end users, of course, but also specifically down here, the data people should be there, the IT people should be there, and maybe also some other guys from legal or HR or data protection and so on. So then you do an introduction round. You know that canvas already. We just filled it out. That's the same principle behind that. And then we start with what we call the business understanding. So the basic idea behind the methodology we have is that we follow these three big steps. So the first step is what we call business understanding. So we don't start at the data side, which is the blue part here. We start at the business understanding side. So we ask structurally, how could data and AI and analytics improve our business, in this case, our business model? And then the second step is what we call user understanding. So the users are the people who should actually create the value with the data products we are planning to build. So it's very important that we understand what they really want and what they really need in their job. And then after we have a common understanding here, then we go into what we call the data understanding. That's basically on a high level designing the data products and what the steps are, what the analytical pipeline should look like, and what the data sets are. And additionally to that, what infrastructure, not just physically, but also what we call the top framework, so technology, organization, and people you need in order to implement that. And let's quickly start here. So I guess everybody knows that canvas here. The business model canvas actually pretty popular. So in many, many cases, we map out the elements of the business model. These are the green elements. So in this case, we are talking about, in our example case, we're talking about the said Hippo company, and that's a chocolate bar producer. So the solution or the product here is chocolate bars, and there's certain benefits. So basically answering the question, why should people buy our chocolate bars? And then we have our target groups, our customers here on the right-hand side, the channels, how we reach them, and in marketing and sales, and in offline and online channels, and then of course the relationship we maintain with our customers. And on the other hand side, on the left side, so the blue part here is basically the quote unquote internal perspective. So what are the resources I need in order to produce these products? What are the activities I have to do, and what partnerships or suppliers I need in order to build these products, in this case, the chocolate bars. And then underneath here, what is my cost structure? What is my risk structure? And where is on the right-hand side, where's the revenue coming from, and what additional advantages I might have or opportunities to extend this business model. So these are the green parts. And then we do a second iteration on that business model. And these are then the analytical applications which might help us, or ideas for analytical use cases which might help us to get better in this business model, or while executing this business model. And you probably see here that there is different categories. So there is one category which is called problems. So if you ask people what really helps you, some people are actually pretty problem focused, and it's easy for them to articulate where the issue is. And then there are other peoples who are more solution oriented. And these solution oriented people often come up with definite business cases or definite solution ideas, like I don't know, a chatbot, or to improve customer service, or in this case here, location-based analysis and promotion. And then there are, specifically from higher level management, there are often people who can articulate the benefit they would like to achieve, more effective campaigns, for example. So we iterate through that, or ideate through that, and then put blue sticky notes on this business model canvas. And then we do a voting, which are these little red dots here, in order to decide where should be the focus area, at least the perspective from this group. And in this case, you can actually very easily see that most of the dots here are in the marketing sales area. And then we take these over and say, okay, this is the focus we would like to set, and put these application ideas or these use case ideas here on the left-hand side, and derive from them what the real solution could look like. And if you look, there's a lot of marketing related issues in here. What's the ROI of social media? Increased engagement rate and brand awareness. So what could be the real solution for that? And these are basically the red sticky notes here. So, and you might know that Gartner model for AI or analytics maturity. So we put it on this Gartner model here, and we assume for this example that they have already the operational systems in place. Of course, this is where the data is coming from. Then they have already quite sophisticated or complete business reporting. And they're also already doing diagnostic analytics. What they are missing here is the predictive part, which could help them to improve their marketing. And of course, it doesn't make sense to jump in here into that case, dynamic attribution and bidding to automate your marketing. It might be, not might be that, but it will be better to kind of decompone in that case and find other solutions which then in the end pay into that goal. So another actually also not that easy to implement solution would be multi-touch attribution, or then on the predictive level, mixed media modeling, marketing mixed media modeling. And then we have other things in here, generative AI for social media creation, and that might add to the ad bidding optimization, and that in the end will enable this use case up here. So we do basically, we map the maturity they currently have or not have, which is the red buttons, the red sticky notes here, and then we do a kind of roadmap planning with them. And then the final step, and this is just in a nutshell, the final step here is then to map out what the data products are actually looking like. And we decided here that we are going to do geodemographic consumer clusters, that we do product propensity scoring, that we do mixed media modeling and generative AI for social media ads. And we define what the analytical pipeline is. So what do we need to do, at least on a high level, in order to build these products? And then, which is often forgotten here, is what we call the data value. So this box here in the data product section, we should also take care that we measure the value we really create from the data products, because the model might work very fine, but if it doesn't contribute to your results bottom line, so if it really doesn't increment or makes a revenue uplift, then you might have the wrong solution, or you might have done a mistake somewhere. And on the other hand side, we have the data sets which are fed into that analytical quote unquote steps to build the products. And down here, we have what I already mentioned is something what we call the top framework. So technology, organization, and people. So what is the technology we need in order to be able to implement that, what we designed here? And what is the organization I need in order to implement? And what are the people and what are the skills and what is the know-how I need in order to do that? Because that is obviously the foundation everything relies on, specifically here, the people part, because the people are probably the most important. And after doing that, we are doing a feedback round, which we will do later on as well. And then we collect the next steps in order to get the process rolling. So what you will often see, or what we often see, is that during the process we just followed, there are popping up a lot of open questions and also assumptions which should be documented and also prioritized in specifically in a database. We call this HELT, Hypothesis, Experiments, and Learning Database. We need a data and AI use case catalog. So we would like to collect all the use cases we found during the business discovery or during the business understanding. We might need to create a presentation in order to show it as a result. We need to define a kind of data and AI value driver tree in order to determine which data product might or should create which value, which is important for the business case. Relevant KPI dictionaries and other to-dos which are currently here in the backlog, but which are important then to structure the process to move forward, to go to the next phase, which is typically an experimentation phase, where you specifically verify or falsify all the hypotheses you are having either done explicitly or implicitly. So that's the quick overview about what the process is looking like. And now let's come to the topic, what we call AI accelerated. So the first step to prepare a workshop like that is usually that the client will give you certain documents, briefing documents. So you have a talk with them, and then they follow up with specifics, or you need something which you can look at in order to prepare yourself. And we have put in here some examples of that. So we have here a corporate strategy presentation with numbers. We have here a channel distribution of their sales, of their current sales. We have a general description what the company is actually doing, and we have an extract from a roundtable discussion where they discussed internally how to move forward. And the first thing I would like to show you is you can use, in this case, Miro AI, which is in this case specifically an AI flow, in order to create a summary from these documents. And that is what you see here on the left-hand side. And we can actually let it run. So it's running the flow now. So it's analyzing the documents. And while it's doing that, I show you the prompt which we used for that. So I don't know, it might be a little bit difficult to read for you. Can you read that? Is that okay? Yeah? Okay. So it's a role description. You are a senior data analyst and strategy consulting, and you are working with the Datentreiber data and AI business design method. Your task is preparing briefing documents for the workshop described in the tutorial. So for the whole workshop, but also for every canvas we are using, there is a tutorial, basically a step-by-step description how the overall process works. This is this tutorial here. And then for each canvas, what you see here, there's another specific tutorial which describes how to use the canvas. And the prompt actually says here, prepare a briefing document for that workshop, which is described in the tutorial. And the workshop should answer, in which business areas should we invest in data and AI, and what are the applications, the analytical and AI applications we want to build? And then there's specific introductions, look for business objective and goals, look for operating guidelines, look for legal or regulatory requirements, look for potential prioritization criteria in order to be better focused and make the decision probably not only on dot votes, but on a more higher level, where's the focus area. Try to find a stakeholder mapping if it is existent in the documents, of course, and maybe also some additional risk and dependencies. And the result is then a briefing document, which you see here. So business objective and goals, primary mission, and it actually tells you if things are missing. So primary mission, North Star, joyful snack moments, wonderful, specific, measurable targets, KPIs or OKRs, not explicitly stated in the documents. So you get a pretty good overview what is in there, what you might need, then in addition to ask the client again, and which is missing. And that text here, so the result from that prompt is actually going into what Miro calls a sidekick, which I will show you in a moment. So that's kind of an additional information which briefs then the sidekick to do further analysis or to do further work on the canvases we are using. So, and if you are looking at the canvases in the upper line here, so we have these two lines. The lower one is actually just the example, and the upper line is then the quote unquote the working line. You see that at least the majority of these canvases have three what Miro calls action buttons. And the first button is helping you to consult how to use that canvas. So if I click on that, the sidekick pops up and it gives you a very hopefully comprehensive description what should be in what the canvas is for, how to use the canvas, what are the meaning of the different boxes are, and it also gives you a description how to use it and do some brainstorming. And you can obviously also ask additional questions here, which I will show you in a minute as well. So that is a help for the people who are using that workshop template. That is a help for the person who's running the workshop to introduce everybody into what is happening here. So the next step then is to help you fill out this canvas. This is the create button here. So it helps you to create the sticky notes on the canvas. It's not meant to give you the full picture. It really is more like a suggestion, and you can work from that suggestion and check if it really meets what you would like to have. So don't expect that to do the work for you. That's not the case. It just helps you to have the right ideas. And then we have three additional buttons here. One check button, which understands the logic behind that canvas and checks if it's formally and content-wise complete. And then there's a very interesting thing you can do with AI is you can challenge what you have put on that canvas. So the canvas will be, or you use the AI as a kind of sparrings partner in order to filter out what might be the critical assumptions you are using, what might be the open questions from the content of that canvas. And then you often have to pick. You have to make a decision before you go to the next step in the process. In this case here, you have to pick the decision makers. And it would help you to pick the right decision maker or or not just the decision maker, sorry, but the people who should participate in that workshop. So, and if we move a little bit more forward, you see for the business model, exactly the same buttons. In this case here, we have two create buttons. And that is, if you remember what I just tried to tell you, is we create or sketch the business model here, the current business model, and then we reiterate through that business model and try to find analytical applications which help us to get better in that business model. So if you have the example here, you typically see that you have an empty canvas. So now let me hit the create button. And the sidekick, we have a special version of that sidekick, which is called Data and AI Business Catalyst, with a longer prompt. Actually, what you see here is taking the canvas and the company we have been briefed for, or the company we are doing the workshop for, and is generating the elements or the potential elements for that business model. And again, it takes a while, but it should create now green sticky notes and cluster them already along the components of the business model. And you see that here. So we have end users, kids, teenagers. So in these brackets, you see the element of the business model where this sticky note should belong. So solutions are chocolate bars, single packs or bulk packs. Yeah, wonderful. Maybe also quick energy bars. The benefits is tastiness, convenience, quick energy, brand loyalty, and so on. The channels are supermarket, gas station, kiosks, online shops, websites, social media, print, offline marketing, and so on. I think you get the idea. So that is pretty close. If you put these sticky notes now and put them on the business model canvas, you will figure that it's pretty close to the example we have. Can you still hear me? Because I have a frozen picture in the moment. Okay, all right, good.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So why is it so good? It's for two reasons. The first reason, this Data and AI Business Catalyst knows our methodology. So what we did, we have a very comprehensive description of how our methodology works. So each and every canvas is described. For each and every canvas we are using, there is a separate tutorial, and the overall methodology is also very precisely described. And the business catalyst knows that. So there is, in the sidekicks, there is a kind of quote unquote system prompt where you can put certain information in, and you can also upload kind of knowledge bases. So we have a knowledge base how our methodology works, and the sidekick or the Data and AI Business Catalyst operates with this background knowledge. And that is the reason why this result here is actually pretty good. And in a real workshop environment, you could take this as an example, put it or as a suggestion, and put it on the business model canvas, discuss it and refine it. So AI is not doing the work for you. AI is kind of suggesting and augmenting your thinking process. There's always a human in the loop. So the end decision, if the channels are really gas stations or the channels are kiosks or both of them, is yours. It's not the AI. And that's important to understand. The AI just helps you doing that. So I discard them for the moment. And we are going back to this one. And of course, we prepared that in the beginning, and I'll show you the example layer. That is the example you just saw a minute before. And you will find here print, social media, website, kiosk, gas stations. You will find these elements again here. And it's not made up. It's not that we prompted that and say, put gas stations in there. It's really was the idea of the Data and AI Business Catalyst. So now we can do exactly this. If we have the business model, we can do, or what we do in the process is that we are iterating through that process, through that business model again, through our sticky notes, along the briefing information we have, and try to find analytical applications ideas. And that is the second create button we have here. And if I hit that button again, it takes the business model canvas plus the sticky notes on that and says you are a senior data and catalyst strategy consulting. You're working with our methodology. Create blue sticky notes for the company, which is in this case the Sad Hippo company, for analytical applications or analytical use cases, and focus on the objective, which is in this case here B2C. And a similar process is running now. So it should create blue sticky notes with ideas what analytics could be helpful or should be helpful along the briefing we have to improve bottom line result, which is probably revenue for the Sad Hippo company. And again, it takes a while. Yeah.
Yeah, Ramon asked a question. I think it's a good question because for here, I think like he asked if Miro AI does take the existing sticky notes as the base, and the answer is yes, right? And in this case, even there already were blue sticky notes, so it might be that the AI is a little bit confused because normally you would have just the green or yellow sticky notes, and then the next step would be to add the solutions or the problems,
you're
the use
right.
cases.
Yeah. But there are actually here solutions, predictive demand forecasting systems for sales analytics or for sales and supply chain, real-time production quality monitoring, dynamic pricing optimization, customer lifetime value prediction, sentiment analysis for social media, churn prediction, if you can define churn in this model, yes. And again, here, churn prediction, if they know the customer, then it would be probably, there would be a churn model. I guess most of their customers are actually anonymous. So that might be an idea you might want to sort out and don't follow anymore. But this list here, again, is actually pretty good. And it's something you can discuss through with the client and then pick those elements or those analytical applications which make sense in their context. And it might also inject additional ideas into the people who are sitting in that workshop. So that was step number 2. Now let's go back to the business model canvas and let's try out the check button. Are we complete? Yes, it looks pretty complete. And let's see. And again, the data and AI business catalyst, the sidekick, which we briefed with our methodology, is now using that methodology plus the content of that canvas here, including all the sticky notes, and checking that for consistency and completeness. So, and it gives you a report on that. So, and it's now business model canvas check, completeness and consistency analysis. So what is good? Well-covered areas, solutions, benefits, users, channels, resources, activities. And then, okay, it's, can't, oh, okay. It gives you also, in this case, a completement score, specific let's go from the top. Gap. So we had the strength, well-covered areas. It's difficult to show that while it's producing the text and it's jumping up and down. It gives you gaps, missing or incomplete elements, relationships, for example. Revenue and advantages are from the perspective of the data and AI business catalysts are incomplete, only shows online sales and retail sales, missing details on the revenue model. Is it B2C direct sales or B2B wholesales? Okay, now you can also see the restriction on on modern AI solutions. The focus was current B2C, so B2B shouldn't be in there at all. Pricing strategies, revenue stream breakdowns. Yeah, okay, that is missing. That could be more specific here for the retail sales, recommendations, specify direct consumer sales revenue. So it gives you recommendations. And for the complete cost and risk, it also says it's kind of incomplete or could be better. And again, you can now follow this, or you can say, okay, it's good for me what I have in the moment. And consistency issues, solutions versus use case ideas confusion. Yeah, okay. Problem versus questions, overlapping customer segments, overlapping roles. Parents are both buyers and decision makers for kids. Okay, that is on purpose actually. Anonymous bias is vague. Are these retail customers? Yeah. Okay. So it could be more specific. So you get a lot of thinking stuff. And now you can take the next step and say, okay, after we are completed the check, we can also challenge the model and ask the AI to come up with open questions, uh, assumptions, maybe risky assumptions, so which form a risk for the whole project. And again, a pretty more lengthy prompt, and it will take another while to produce the results. By the way, do you have so the people Ray and Mark and Ramon, Baiva and Juliana, do you have Miro in with Miro AI enabled?
So through my company right now, it's not enabled. I have my own personal Miro account where I've explored it a bit, but
Yeah.
that's the challenge right now is most of my work is, company based. And so I was on here trying to figure out who our admin is because I want to unlock this. It looks very powerful.
Yeah. So if you
Ki-
go
ki-
in with your personal account, then you can also hit the button. It should work then. Yeah.
Kind of same for me. I've been just experimenting on the personal account.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same with me as well. I use the personal account. The official account does not have much
Yeah.
uh,
Mm.
access.
So are you working in the area of data and AI?
Not exactly in the data part. I do use it for strategic decision making based on the resources that I've
Yeah.
got.
Okay. Cool. Okay, and it creates white sticky notes with it should actually tag these as questions or assumptions, but let's look at what percentage of purchase are influenced by kits. What are actual sales volume split between single packs and bulk packs? How do quick energy and tastiness rank in actual purchase drivers versus brand perception? So there's a lot of in this case, there's a lot of questions. Let's see if we can find an assumption. Maybe that's an assumption. Online engagement metrics accurately predict offline retail sales performance for product variants. Yeah. Yeah. That is definitely an assumption, which you need to test before you build a statistical model or a predictive model on top of that. Current marketing mix modeling can isolate channel-specific effectiveness despite overlapping campaigns and external factors. Yeah. Yeah. So again, here the results are also pretty impressive. They definitely need a larger or longer discussion with the client because you will probably not end up with these suggestions, but you will modify them and adapt them to the real world situation of that, in our case, sad Hippo company. And of course, you can use our data and AI business catalyst to ask here interactively more questions. So for data governance framework exists to unify data across departments. Let me find, Benjamin, do you have an idea what we should prompt here or what from the result? Have you looked through that? What percentage influenced by kids? What is the self space allocation turnover rate? Let me find an example. What are the percentage of costs are variable versus fixed? Retailer post quality is on. Yeah, retailer post data quality is sufficient for real-time volatility analysis. Now I can ask, what do you recommend? Person to make retailer post data quality sufficient for real-time volatility analysis. Let's see what the answer is and what it says. Based on the Sad Hippo company context, here are my recommendations. Okay, data partnership. Yeah. So maybe you can find that data somewhere in your ecosystem. Data quality framework, yeah, which is on your own side. Yeah, certain things in the technical infrastructure, organizational measurements, yeah, workaround for imperfect data, different statistical techniques in order to improve data quality, alternative data sources like Nielsen or IRI. Have, and that's a good point, have realistic expectations, quick win, and so on. So it's actually, if you go through that, and of course, the more specific you are, the better the results would be. So that is I think it was the last step here. Now there's another one, sorry, and that is choose. And here, if you remember what I told in the beginning, here the goal was to choose the focus area, which would be marketing sales. And now we try to implement that and have a large language model do something which was not designed for, and that is actually counting and calculating. And let's see what the results are. It should recognize that the most dots are on blue sticky notes related to marketing analytics. But let's see. Okay. 2 votes, 0 votes, 0 votes. Okay. More effective campaigns. More effective campaigns actually has 2 votes. And I can see that doesn't work 100%. Let's put it that way. The trend is still right. I think if we look to the summary by cluster, yeah, marketing analysis, yeah, actually, if we just count, this is all marketing related here. So that's 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 votes. It says it just has 5 votes. Yeah. So that is not 100% accurate.
Yeah, just to add to this, that it actually already worked, because now this is image based. When we use the Sidekick, it's like interpreting an image.
Yeah.
Before we could like access with the Miro flow access somehow the metadata, but there is a bug because Miro AI is still developing, but it worked in the recent past already.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's true.
Okay. So I hope you got the idea. The data business and the data and AI business catalyst. So our version of a sidekick, which is briefed with our methodology, is helping you and augment or suggesting you certain things here in order to come up with a better result. So the AI is not thinking for you. It just and shouldn't definitely make a decision, but it's helping you to be quicker here and also making sure that everything is in the picture, which needs to be in the picture accordingly to the initial briefing we had. So you see these buttons on also the other canvases here. I'm not going to present that right now. So on the data and AI maturity assessment and the road mapping part, and also here on the data, oh, that's not there on the data monetization part because it's not implemented yet. And then we have another thing where AI could actually be very helpful, and that's creating the summary and the deliverables from such a workshop. And typically, the deliverable is a use case catalog, which you can then use as a base to work on further with long descriptions and maybe also in the future with scoring. And again, we have a sidekick here which creates the use case catalog, and I can quickly run that. It's the same process what you already saw, and it should come up with a table which looks like this one. Sometimes it changes the colors for the text, but the content should be basically the same. And it's generating. And generating. And generating. Okay, let's give it another few seconds. Ah, there it is. Okay. As I said, it changes the colors from time to time. But yeah, location-based analysis, data-driven complaint management, increase rate. So these are the same use cases we had on the business model canvas. So that is typically deliverable number one. Deliverable number two is what we also discussed is the riskiest assumption, the risks and the assumptions, where you could create for not just for one canvas, but for the whole process, for all the canvases in the process, the open questions and assumptions, which you see here. And then the last one is really an executive summary, which is now implemented again with an AI flow and a specific prompt you can see here, which is also a little bit more precise than just one sentence with an executive headline, strategic focus, expected business value if you would implement the data products we designed, and execution readiness, the critical risk and assumptions, the decisions required now in order to get the whole program moving, a recommendation from the next steps, which is coming from the Kanban board you saw before, and the bottom line recommendation, which is a summary of everything. Okay. So I hope you learned something. That's it, what we wanted to show you. And if you would like to, you are welcome to fill out the feedback here. What did you learn? What did you like? What you wished for? Both for the format here, what we are doing here, Lunch and Learn, and maybe also for the content.
Thank you both. I need to drop as well. I'll come back to fill out your form, and maybe try to open this in my
Yeah,
personal
your private account.
so I can
Yeah.
get into the Sidekick bits. Yeah, it seemed
Okay.
like a lot of really powerful capabilities there. So yeah, thanks for your time. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye bye.
Guess Bavia already left. Yeah.
Okay.